for around 95% of the time, our behaviour is pre-programmed or inherited. To make any sense of this, we need to look at the three main ways in which we're programmed. We receive our first instalment when we're born. So for around the first 7 years, the mind that's normally there to analyse, create, filter and learn is dormant. Our earliest programming drives our automatic responses long before the mind has time to react. We also absorb trauma-based programs. Anytime we're faced with trauma, we automatically trigger the stress response. And that closes down the conscious mind to make way for the much faster fight or flight response. The downside to that is as the mind is not there to analyse and filter, it allows that trauma to go directly into the subconscious mind and is stored as a new program. We can access this trauma in two ways. First, we have memory recall. And this can be literally like finding a hole in your tooth. When you find that memory, you can't help prodding it. So we can end up in a cycle of self-generated torment. Or we can unconsciously re-trigger the stress response, and that can happen at any time and in any place and can be completely unrelated to the situation we're in. This constant recall and re-trigger can result in post-traumatic stress syndrome. And I genuinely believe on some level, more of us suffer from that than we actually realise. The other way we're programmed is repetition. If we do the same thing over and over again, it gets passed from the short term into the long term memory. But habits can be directly linked to childhood trauma or childhood programming, because our deepest urges come from our deepest programming. Our habits become our behaviour, and our behaviour ends up reaffirming our childhood programming. I genuinely couldn't see that I had a problem. I thought everyone else was a problem. This is how I was coping. I had no idea that this was a symptom of childhood trauma. But mindfulness has played a massive part in turning my life around. Underestimate the power you have to make a difference in somebody else's life. That 5 minutes of someone not judging you, taking that time can really be. And never underestimate also the power that somebody else has to make a difference in your life. Unfortunately, so many of us are willing to help others, but we're unwilling to ask or even when it comes receive help. I had some amazing help and support from the people I met at Swindon College. Between them and mindfulness, they succeeded to do what the penal system fails to do in 89% of its cases. Mindfulness and help has now got me into a state where I've got a growing peace and stability. And although all of our experiences, they are going to be very different, we've all been born, so we all have subconscious programming. We all have habitual cycles of behaviour. And we all have automatic responses that are running the show for around 95% of the time. This happens because the mind can't exist in the here and now. Anytime we're thinking, we are thinking of the past or we're thinking of the future. The mind loves to exist by reliving the past and fantasizing about the future based on the past. What mindfulness does is it brings us into the here and now so we can observe the activity of the mind as it arises. It creates a breathing space for us to assess the validity of the thoughts in relation to our current situation. It empowers us to start choosing the thoughts we listen to and the ones we disregard. Being mindful, we can start to consciously create positive thoughts, which over time become habitual and eventually become our new programs. Mindfulness empowers us to make lasting changes in every aspect of our life.